In this topic, digestion and absorption, so far we completed the structure of alimentary canal, digestive glands in detail. Now we are going to deal the process of digestion, conversion of non-diffusible macromolecular substances into diffusible micronutrients is by mechanical and biochemical activities is called digestion or hydrolysis. The total process of digestion is accomplished by mechanical events and biochemical events. The mechanical and biochemical events are under neural and hormonal control. The mechanical activities that we come across in the process of digestion are mastication in buccal cavity with the help of teeth, chewing the food material in the buccal cavity. The second one is peristaltic movements along the length of alimentary canal. It is a muscular activity controlled by neurons, central nervous system. The peristaltic movements play help in better mixing of the food material with the gastric juice in stomach. It is churning movement, and also peristaltic movements help the free movement of the food material along the length of alimentary canal. In the same way, when we see the chemical activities in the process of digestion involved with so many digestive enzymes that we discussed in detail in the topic digestive glands. Now let us see the process of digestion. When food material enter into the buccal cavity, there the first stage of digestion starts. A portion of food material digested there, then second stage of digestion takes place in the stomach, and final the maximum portion of digestion completes in small intestine in duodenum. When food material enter into the buccal cavity where the digestion process starts, teeth help in masticating the food material, grinding the food material. Tongue helps in better mixing of saliva with mucus by serving like universal toothbrush. Whatever the saliva releases into the buccal cavity, it will help for mixing the food material and turns into the bolus. The mucus present in the saliva helps in adhesion of food particles together into a lump is called bolus, which is slightly acidic in nature as the food particles mixed with the slightly acidic saliva. So in such a way, teeth and tongue is playing vital role in better mixing and grinding of the food material and turns into bolus. Buccal cavity also help in transferring the food material or swallowing the food material into the next part of the alimentary canal. As far as the reaction that occur in the buccal cavity, when we observe, in buccal cavity about 30% of carbohydrates, starch will digest by reacting with ptyalin. Ptyalin is a salivary amylase that will show impact on 30% of the carbohydrates that will convert into disaccharides like maltose. There is no change in fats and proteins in buccal cavity. Partially about 30% of carbohydrates by reacting with the ptyalin converts into maltose. Then in the form of bolus, the partially digested food material that enter into the stomach, where the gastric esophageal sphincter regulates the flow of the food into the stomach. Soon enters into the stomach. The food material get mixed with gastric juice by churning movements of the walls of stomach, where we can see the acidified lump is formed, which is called chyme. Chyme is absolutely acidified lump. The total food material mixed with gastric juice, as the gastric juice is with hydrochloric acid, it becomes acidified. Such acidified lump in the stomach is chyme. Here the process of digestion, when we see proteins partially digested, There is no change in carbohydrates. There will be no reaction on fats. Only proteins will digest partially. When we see here, pepsinogen is a proteolytic enzyme present in gastric juice, which is inactive proenzyme. This pro-pepsinogen enzyme, inactive enzyme, should become active pepsin. This is because of reaction with HCl. The inactive pepsinogen reacts with HCl, converts into active pepsin. In the same way, we can see there is prorenin. It is also inactive enzyme present only in infants, those who consume milk products only. This prorenin is a milk enzyme. This is also in inactive stage. It also converts into active renin by reacting with HCl. Here one point we should observe, that is autocatalysis. Autocatalysis is a reaction catalyzed by one of its products. What is happening here? Some quantity of pepsinogen react with HCl, converts into pepsin. Some portion of pepsinogen reacts with HCl, converts into pepsin. Then this active pepsin show its reaction on remaining pepsinogen. Pepsin is a product of pepsinogen. Being a product of pepsinogen, pepsin converting remaining pepsinogen into active pepsin. Hence we call this as autocatalysis. Autocatalysis is a process of reaction that catalyzes one of its products. In such a way, here active pepsin and active renin produced. The pepsin reacts with proteins. Some of the proteins will react with pepsin. They will be converted into proteoses and peptones. In infants, only prorenin is present. That prorenin converts into active renin by reacting with HCl. Such active renin react with milk protein. Milk protein is called casein. Casein reacts with renin that converts into calcium paracaseinate. This reaction is always in the presence of calcium. In the presence of calcium, renin reacts with the casein. As a result, it converts into calcium paracaseinate. This calcium paracaseinate once again react with the pepsin that converts into peptones. This reaction that we can see in infants, those who consume milk products. Simply we can say, in this acidic medium, the chyme, when we observe, proteins are partially digested into peptones and proteoses. There is no change in fats and there will be no effect on carbohydrates. These are the reactions that we can see in the stomach in respect with the process of digestion. The third stage of digestion in small intestine. Major portion of the process of digestion takes place in intestine, that is in duodenum. In duodenum, total digestion completes. Carbohydrates, proteins, fats and nucleic acids will completely digested. Now let us see one by one in detail. As far as the process of digestion in duodenum, first we are observing complete digestion of carbohydrates. In buccal cavity, 30% of the carbohydrates converted into maltose, whereas the remaining 70% of carbohydrates will get reacted with pancreatic amylase. As we know that from pancreas and from liver, the pancreatic juice and bile juice will release into duodenum by common hepatopancreatic duct. So such pancreatic juice is provided with pancreatic amylase. It reacts with the carbohydrates and convert them into disaccharides like maltose, sucrose and lactose. Previously we got some maltose. That maltose, sucrose and lactose react with maltase, sucrase, lactase. These are all disaccharidases present in intestinal juice or succus entericus. So maltose reacts with maltase. The final product is 2 molecules of glucose. And sucrose react with sucrase. We get 1 molecule of glucose and also fructose. and lactose react with lactase, it gives glucose and galactose. With this, total carbohydrates have been digested and they come to the final products. They are glucose, fructose and galactose. The next one, the digestion of proteins in small intestine or duodenum. In small intestine, we can see trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen. These are the two inactive enzymes from pancreatic juice. This trypsinogen become active by enterokinase. Chymotrypsinogen is also become active chymotrypsin by the trypsin enzyme. So the trypsin and chymotrypsin. In the same way, we get carboxypeptidase. It is also procarboxypeptidase, that is also inactive, which will become active by reacting with the trypsin. So all the active enzymes, trypsin, chymotrypsin, carboxypeptidase from pancreatic juice, aminopeptidase from intestinal juice, all these enzymes react with proteoses and peptones, whatever formed in the stomach, and remaining proteins, whatever left over. All this react with these enzymes, where we can see the formation of dipeptides. All these dipeptides react with dipeptidase enzyme from intestinal juice that converts into final product, that is amino acids. So with this, we completed the process of digestion in regard with proteins in duodenum. After proteins, the digestion of fats in duodenum. So far, fats, there is no change in them. In buccal cavity, in stomach, fats not undergone for any kind of reaction. Fats are simplified into fat particles called micelles, simply by emulsification by bile salts which present in bile juice. Sodium, potassium taurocolate, sodium and potassium glycolate. These are the bile salts that help in emulsification of the fats to make them into simple lipid particles called micelles. These fat molecules are micelles, react with gastric lipase, pancreatic lipase and intestinal lipase. We have seen lipase is releasing from gastric juice, also present in pancreatic juice, and also it is in intestinal juice. Fat molecules react with gastric lipase, converts into diglycerides, and diglycerides by reacting with the lipase into monoglycerides. Monoglycerides again react with the lipase, and finally we can get the final product, fatty acids and glycerol. In single stretch in duodenum, by reacting with bile salts and gastric, pancreatic and intestinal lipase, we can get fatty acids and glycerol. Now the process of digestion of nucleic acids. Nucleic acids are RNA and DNA. They are reacting with nucleases. Nucleases are RNAase, DNAase that are present in pancreatic juice. Such nucleases react with nucleic acids, convert them into nucleosides, nucleotides. Such nucleotides react with nucleotidase. Nucleotides react with nucleotidase, which is releasing from intestinal juice, and convert them into nucleosides. Nucleosides react with nucleosidase. This is also releasing from intestinal juice, and finally we get the product sugars and bases. In such a way, all the products have been completely digested, and digested end products take place in the duodenum. Finally, when we see carbohydrates are converted into glucose, fructose and galactose, and proteins converts into amino acids, fats converts into fatty acids and glycerol, and nucleic acids into simple sugars and bases. These are the end products. Once digestion complete in duodenum, digested material and undigested substances will pass into the jejunum and also through ileum. While passing through this ileum, all the digested material will get absorbed into the blood, whereas undigested material will pass through the colon. While passing through the colon, we never come across any significant role of digestion there. Only in colon, we see the absorption of water and minerals. Then the undigested material will become fecal matter and it will be stored in the rectum. As and when rectum fills, there the egestion urge occur in human body. As a result, defecation occurs. Elimination of fecal matter is defecation or egestion takes place. There is no role in digestion for cecum. Now let us see the process of absorption. When we see the process of absorption, absorption is a kind of process by which the digested end products should pass through the intestinal mucosa into the blood stream. Soon after digestion in ileum, the digested foods will pass into the mucosa layer and finally that enters into the bloodstream. Here we have to observe the osmotic gradient. Water get absorbed by simple diffusion. Water get absorbed by simple diffusion basing on its osmotic gradient. The remaining substances also get absorbed into the bloodstream basing on their osmotic gradient. The process of absorption is carried out by passive transport, active transport and facilitate transport. Monosaccharides, amino acids, some electrolytes like chlorine are simply get absorbed into the blood by passive transportation. Some monosaccharides, some amino acids, some chloride ions like electrolytes simply get absorbed by passive transportation. Depending upon the osmotic gradient, some of the glucose amino acids will get absorbed with the help of carrier proteins. With the help of carrier proteins. With the help of carrier proteins, some glucose and amino acids basing on the osmotic gradient. If osmotic gradient is more, the glucose and amino acids with the help of carrier proteins, they get absorbed into the blood. If basing on osmotic gradient, glucose and amino acid get absorbed with the help of carrier proteins, then it is called facilitate transport. Once again we see, if osmotic gradient is more, definitely there will be a consumption of some energy. Where there is a need of energy for absorption, then we call that as active transportation. Simple diffusion is passive. If diffusion occur with the help of carrier proteins is facilitate transport. Depending upon the osmotic gradient, if energy consumption occur for absorption, then it is called active transport. So always osmotic gradient is playing role in absorption. The total process of absorption is carried out by either passive, active or facilitate transports. In such a way, monosaccharides and amino acids water will get absorbed. Then what about the fatty acids and glycerol? Soon after digestion, even we observe comparatively they are larger molecules to amino acids and monosaccharides. They cannot directly get absorbed into the blood vessels. Hence, these fatty molecules and glycerol molecules incorporate together and they become as some droplets, as the size of the fatty acids and glycerols comparatively larger to monosaccharides and amino acids, they cannot directly get absorbed into the bloodstream. Hence, they come closer, incorporate together, become droplets, and such droplets are covered by a protein coat. Such protein coat droplets are called chylomicrons. Such chylomicrons are transported into the lymph vessels, which are called lacteales. From lymph vessels, ultimately they get enter into the blood reaches to the heart region. In such a way, absorption takes place in our body soon after digestion. Now, one more topic we have to see here, disorders perspective to the alimentary canal or digestion. We can see so many disorders we come across in respect with alimentary canal and the digestion. One is jaundice, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation and indigestion. Jaundice affects always liver, the skin, eyes turn to yellow due to accumulation of bile pigments. Due to the infection to liver, bile pigments will be released more and they accumulate in skin and eyes as they turn into yellow, that is jaundice. It is a bacterial disease. Vomiting, ejection of substances from stomach through mouth is vomiting. The vomiting reflex action is located in medulla oblongata. Vomiting reflex station, that is in medulla oblongata. Diarrhea, abnormal frequency of bowel movement, with increased liquidity is nothing but diarrhea. In such cases, absorption of food reduces. In diarrhea, where frequency of bowel movement alters and increase in liquidity takes place, that is diarrhea. Constipation, retaining the fecal matter in colon and rectum and irregular bowel movement is constipation. Indigestion, improper digestion due to various reasons like inadequate release of digestive juices, by consumption of spicy foods, or overeating, or anxiety are some of the reasons for causing improper digestion, that is lead to indigestion. Improper fullness of the stomach we feel, feeling of fullness of stomach. These are the disorders that we come across in digestive system. And finally, we observe one more point, gross calorific value and physiologic calorie value. Gross calorie value and physiologic calorie value. What is gross calorie value and what is physiologic calorie value? The amount of heat that released from the combustion of 1 gram of food is gross calorie value. The amount of heat that released from the combustion of 1 gram of food is gross calorie value. Whereas physiologic calorie value, the amount of energy combusted from 1 gram, the amount of energy that has to be combusted from 1 gram of food is physiologic calorie value. When we see the calorie value of carbohydrates, proteins and fats, here the gross value, calorie value and the physiologic calorie value of carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are gross calorie value 4.1 kilocalories per 1 gram, whereas proteins 5.65 kilocalories per 1 gram and fats, that is 9.45 kilocalories per 1 gram. whereas the physiologic value when we see carbohydrates 4 and proteins that is 5 and fats also 5. This is the caloric value, gross value and physiological value. With this we completed the process of digestion and alimentary canal and digestive gland, entire topic digestion and absorption.